Good afternoon to everyone. I don't know how many you are online. We are not completely full in our room, but so good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to welcome to the participants present in the room and online to this important event on how global networks of marine protected areas can foster ocean governance. We are going to speak about a beautiful project of a blue belt. As a sailor, I like very much this idea to have a blue belt around the world. Thanks to the participants for their contribution and attendance. Thanks to the organizers, the MEP team. Many thanks to you for this organization, and of course many thanks to Ilias, Regine from the Intergroup, EBCD, Climate, Biodiversity and Climate Change. I'm part of this Intergroup as a member of European Parliament, and I'm a co-president of the subgroup on ocean governance. Thanks, of course, to my dear colleague, Stéphane Bijoux. Stéphane comes from a beautiful island in the south of the Indian Ocean, l'île de la Réunion. And you will give the first opening remarks. But before, without further delay, I will give the floor. Sorry. I wanted to tell you that we will have two keynote speech after Stéphane and two roundtable. And after, of course, we will have a Q&A. So, of course, keep your questions with an S. And we will be together till 4 o'clock. So, Stéphane, I'm very happy to give you the floor on this beautiful idea. Of course, we are going to speak about marine protected areas. And this idea of a blue belt, I know that it's a good and a beautiful idea for you. So, Stéphane, you have the floor.
Thank you, dear Catherine. Dear Ambassador for the Poles, dear Olivier, dear directors, dear Pourri, dear Carole, dear colleagues and friends, good afternoon to you all. On behalf of my dear colleague, Catherine Chabaud, welcome in the European Parliament. As this mandate is reaching its end, and as we project ourselves into the next one, I believe today is probably the best moment to remind about what we have accomplished, what we still must achieve. The road is long, and why we need to keep fighting for the ocean. Yes, next year is coming fast, but so is the urgency to protect our ocean, while the ocean is producing half of the oxygen on our planet. It's very important to say it again. Hosting over 2 million species, the ocean is also deeply affected by the climate change. Against such challenges, the only one way to success holds in one word. One word: cooperation. Cooperation. Cooperation is the tool to foster marine protected areas. Cooperation is the key to achieve sustainable ocean governance. Today, we know that 68% of MPAs have been created in the last decade. This is impressive. Ready? So, why should we support this dynamic? Why? I want to say once again that I truly believe that MPAs are the best way to reconnect ecology and economy in our oceans. We need this reconnection. MPAs have the capacity to bring together sea users, local authorities, fishermen, civil society organizations, and scientists for a better governance of marine areas. Here I know we all believe MPAs are key to preserve biodiversity, to adapt to the climate change, and to support local economies. But creating MPAs is not sufficient. It's also important to manage them efficiently. We need to support MPAs managers like MEP. It's a priority. And I want to say thank you from my heart. Thank you to Puri. Thank you to Carole for the great work on your commitment. Because the ocean-related challenges are the same across the world and are interconnected, of course, MPAs managers must spread knowledge and share best practices across networks. Thank you, Catherine, to say once again that I grew up on a little island in the Indian Ocean, La Réunion. On my island, we can already see how climate change affects our marine biodiversity, how our coastlines are impacted by rising sea levels. But La Réunion has also a great potential to shape solutions that can be shared with other territories to help building a more sustainable ocean governance. MPAs managers are precisely the best actors to channel this collective intelligence. Collective intelligence, it's really important at a global level. And we all agree here to say that we have to support the cross-border regional and global cooperation. This is fundamental if we want to succeed. Today, I think we come to a turning point to address this great challenge. So what is the next step? It's very important to have this question. What is the next step? I believe it is time to shape a true global network of MPAs managers, a blue belt. What a beautiful word, a blue belt. This blue belt would connect every MPAs around the world with a lot of our territories, islands, overseas. This blue belt could truly encircle the global from the Pacific Island to the Atlantic, from the Indian Ocean to the Caribbean. And I want to say again that you can count on my support, on our support, of course. I have already asked for dedicated European funding for creating this blue belt. The Commission suggests to work under the umbrella of integrated maritime policy. We have to explore the financial support available now. Dear friends, before starting our discussion, I want to remind something we all know. We have one planet. We have only one ocean. It's your message, a strong message, Catherine. So we know that we have together our forces to save the ocean. Today I propose to launch a European coalition together with our ocean champion, Catherine Chabaud. You are champion for us, of course. With MEP, you are also our champions. And thank you once again. On all the MPAs managers with the Commission and a European coalition for a blue belt. We have no time to lose. So let's fight together for the ocean, and let's speak together, and let's build this collective intelligence. Thank you so much.
Merci. Merci, Stéphane. So with you, we understand that the idea is to connect the marine ecosystems that are in the MPAs, but also to connect people. And it's very interesting to see. We will go deeply in how it should work in our two panels. But before we will listen for two keynote speakers. First of all, the French ambassador for the poles and maritime issues for France, Olivier Poivre d'Arvor, who is also special envoy of the French president for the UN Ocean Conference in 2025. And we will have also a keynote speech from Luis Moledo from the DG Mare. Thank you very much to both of you to be here. First of all, my dear Olivier, sorry to excellence, Olivier,
yes,
excellence Poivre d'Arvor. You are the captain for the next UN conference. And I would like to know how will you treat the marine protected areas? What is your view about this idea to connect MPAs around the world and to connect people? How do you feel with this idea of a blue belt? And I will be very interesting to know how you will implement. I know that you are trying to put an agenda, not with only declaration, but also actions. So, Olivier, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm really happy to be with you, Catherine and Stéphane. So, to this session dedicated to the marine protected areas. And so I will try to answer as well as I can to your question, Catherine. As you say, I'm speaking today in two capacities: the French ambassador for the poles, which are very concerned by the MPs issue, especially in Antarctica, and also a special envoy of the French president for the third UN Ocean Conference, which will take place in Nice in June 2025, which will be hosted by France and Costa Rica, as you know. So clearly, biodiversity conservation will be at the heart of the UN conference priorities, along with the ICES fight against plastic pollution and illegal fishing, and the roadmap towards decarbonated maritime transport. So together with Costa Rica, and you know how Costa Rica is committed on protection and especially on MPAs, we will make every effort to ensure that the next UN in 25 finally becomes a point of what we can say kind of convergence and landing for numerous international negotiations, all of which we will have the power to finally achieve the ambition of the SDG 14. And to do so, we urgently need to mobilize, encourage, and deploy a very wide range of scientific cooperation, science, so important, and of international partnership. We have to find bold and innovative methodologies and tools. The European Union understood this a long time ago, in fact, and is at the, I would say, at the forefront of policies and legal commitments toward ocean governance. The Green Deal, the EU Biodiversity Strategy for 2030, the International Ocean Governance Agenda, the EU mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters, aiming at protecting and restore the health of our ocean and waters by 2030, through research and innovation, citizen engagement and investment in the blue economy. And last but not least, the exceptional EU mobilization towards the BBNG agreement. Achieving climate neutrality and restoring nature is far more than a mere EU commitment. Thank you so much for what you have done and what you are going to do in the next months and years. According to you, especially to the European Environment Agency, marine protected areas coverage in the EU more than doubled to 12% between 2012 and 2021. However, efforts will need to increase significantly to achieve the EU biodiversity strategy target of protecting at least 30% of the EU seas by 2030, while also ensuring that all protected areas are effectively managed. It's not because you have an area dedicated to the protection that really this area is protected. And this is also a very important opportunity for innovation for safeguarding biodiversity and also addressing increasingly complex threats to marine ecosystem, such as the EU projects toward cooperation between MPAs that are paving the way for a very successful implementation of the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework and the Sustainable Development Goal 14. So by sharing experiences and best practices, by pooling knowledge and scientific information, MPA manager networks will improve the effectiveness and the sustainability of MPAs. As highlighted by MEP at the UN Ocean Conference in June 22 in Lisbon, MPA manager networks represent a critical blue belt connecting ground conservation action with global policy. So I wish to bring my strong support and the support of my country and also the responsibility we have in organizing the next UN conference to this objective of global MPA manager network, built as a sound consolidated international cooperation and also partnership network, sharing the same values and management tools. The EU idea of one blue belt is maybe an ambitious goal, but that is fully aligned with the third UN Ocean Conference high expectation. As our predecessor, governments of Fiji and Sweden for 2017 and governments of Portugal and Kenya in 2022, we aim that the UN Ocean Conference will be a game changer that will reverse the decline in the health of our ocean for people, planet, and prosperity. And more than ever, cooperation between MPAs will contribute to reach this very ambitious target. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Olivier. Probably, I think it should be a good idea to launch. It's just an idea, you know. I'm a free woman. To launch the Blue Belt during the UN conference in 2025.
Yes, do that, please.
So it's a good agenda, I think. I have a look on the Purification, you know, Purification Canals, the head of METPAN, this network of MPAs in the Mediterranean, and she was listening to you. So probably all the stakeholders we have in the room or online should call you, Olivier, to push you in that way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Excellence.
Thank you.
And see you tomorrow, because you organize in Paris a summit on the pole.
One Planet Polar Summit, yeah, dedicated to the
One
pole.
Planet Polar Summit.
Yeah, and
we have
cryosphere, in fact. Yeah.
We have MPAs to create in those Arctic and Antarctic regions. So it will be at the core of your event. Thank you very much, Olivier. And
thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for your leadership. Congratulations. Now, I will give the floor to Mr. Luis Moledo, Deputy Head of Unit for Regional Fisheries Management Organization at DG Mare. Mr. Moledo, we all know that EU took a lot of commitments to during those very important negotiations this year and last year with the CBD, the 30 by 30, of course with the BBNJ treaty, and of course with this our strategy on MPAs, on marine protected areas. And why won't we use this idea of the Blue Belt to be the backbone of all our policies around the MPAs? It should be a good idea. What do you think about that? I give you the floor. Thank you very much to be here.
Thank you very much for inviting DG Mare to be here today. I think it's a great pleasure. It is an honor, and I'm hearing plenty of good initiatives going in the right direction. So we are happy to be part of the solution. I think that events like this, they provide an opportunity to exchange ideas, which I think in the end is what we are trying to do with the global network of marine protected areas. And also the timing for this initiative is just right. I think there are a number of events that are creating a momentum to address the challenges that we are facing. And this is because the scientific advice that we're getting continues to be a bit rather negative, I would say. I think there is plenty of room to improve the status of the oceans, to do something about climate change, and biodiversity. And we are afraid that time is running out, and it's very urgent. I think we share this feeling of urgency that something needs to be done and has to be done, as timely and urgent as possible. And it is our collective responsibility to ensure that something is done, that there is progress towards a clean, healthy, productive, and resilient ocean. I think this is very, very important. And the challenges that we are facing today, they cannot be addressed alone. They are global challenges that need a global response. And I think the aim of my presentation here is to give a little the international flavor of the EU action in the international fora. And there are two milestones, rather recent, that have dramatically changed the picture of what can be achieved. The first one is the coming Montreal Global Diversity Framework, adopted at COP15, and it was an historic package. I think we have to say it was a very ambitious agreement, and it implies responsibilities for all countries, all stakeholders, and the entire UN system. And amongst what was agreed, it was target number 3. And target number 3 is to ensure that 30% of land and sea is effectively conserved and managed by 2030. And how can we better protect land and sea rather than through MPAs? The second one is the BBNJ agreement, which is a key milestone for the protection of our ocean, and a key success for multilateralism at a time when multilateralism and international architecture was not very clear on the international agenda. And it was adopted by consensus, on top of everything, at the UN back in June, and until now it has been signed by over 80 signatories. It is an ambitious, fair, and equitable package, and includes the possibility to establish area-based management tools, including marine protected areas in the high seas, which was a key priority for the EU. And our teams, they really fought hard to achieve this. These two historic achievements together, they can really make a difference. They can be a game changer for the oceans, notably when it comes to meeting the target of 30 by 30. In this new international context, networks of MPAs are key, and they are key to help reach our objectives, because we need increased cooperation. And I think cooperation is one of the key words in the event that brought us together today. I will turn now to CAMELAR, to the Antarctic. And in the Antarctic, we have an organization that is called the Commission for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, CAMELAR. And in 2009, CAMELAR was a pioneer by establishing, or by agreed to establish, a representative network of MPAs by 2012. Unfortunately, some progress has been made, but much remains to be achieved. CAMELAR managed to adopt a huge MPA in the Ross Sea in 2016. We're still far away from the representative system of MPAs that CAMELAR wanted to achieve. And the EU and its member states, they're trying to contribute towards this goal by putting forward on the table 2 more MPA proposals for MPAs, one in the Weddell Sea and another one in East Antarctica. If adopted, I would prefer to say when adopted, these MPAs will make a crucial contribution to conserving Antarctica's unique marine biodiversity and ecosystems. It is well known that large-scale MPAs, like the one we are trying to achieve, they build ocean and ecosystem resilience to the impacts of climate change. I think this has been acknowledged by the international community. And they are key to avoid biodiversity loss. Unfortunately, the last meeting of CAMELAR, which concluded 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago in Australia, they were unable to reach an agreement on MPAs. I attended that meeting myself, and this is due to the continued opposition of Russia and China, unfortunately, despite our best efforts to try to bring consensus to the table. However, we will not cease to work until these 2 MPAs and more MPAs are established in the Southern Ocean. At DG Mare, our role is to promote integrated governance, which is the sustainable use of the ocean that can only rest on strengthened marine biodiversity, conservation, and protection. And ocean governance has become critical when we see increasing competition between marine activities and economic sectors trying to use the same space in the context of biodiversity loss and climate change. And it's precisely through initiatives such as the Ocean Governance Project, funded by the European Commission's Partnership Instrument, that the EU is driving progress on international biodiversity goals, sustainable development, and improved ocean governance. And the project is very important. The project is important because it's an example of how impact-oriented cooperation from local to global scales can make a difference. The project has developed tools that have been used by over 50 marine protected areas to enhance management plans. And additionally, by facilitating connection between MPA networks, the project enables knowledge exchange and empowerment of MPA managers. It is important to recall, and I will be finishing, that while marine protected areas are one of the key tools to protect and preserve marine biodiversity, they are not the only way. There are other tools at our disposal, including other effective conservation measures that also bring all the actors around the table. And this is what BBNJ will do. It will bring together area-based management tools, including marine protected areas. BBNJ agreement, they set out a comprehensive process based on the best available science. I think it was Monsieur Bijoux who mentioned the importance of science, and with extensive consultation, bringing all the stakeholders together. I think this is very important. And when we talk about stakeholders, we're talking about international, regional, and sub-regional bodies and frameworks, NGOs, academia, indigenous people, scientific community, etc. And as I mentioned before, time is running out, and we need to step our collective efforts at this type of events, bringing together the European Parliament, the European Commission, the CBD Secretariat, and networks of MPA managers across the globe, which is key to ensure that we reach our commitments to the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are 2 keynote speakers, Mr. Poivre d'Arvor and you, Mr. Moledo. Now we move on the next, the first panel. We will now focus on the achievements and insights of the EU Ocean Governance Project, funded by the European Union and led by GOPA, Worldwide Consultants. It's the good. You will explain what GOPA is. okay? Because I was trying to find what GOPA is. Is it an island? A leader in the implementation of projects in developing and transition economies on behalf of national and international partners. So I give the floor to Ms. Eva Roth. I'm sorry for the pronunciation, Managing Director of GOPA, to present this project. I give you the floor for about 7 minutes. It's okay?
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Eva Raute, Managing Director from GOPA Worldwide. We are a consulting company implementing on behalf of the EU, World Bank and others development cooperation projects around the world. And the ocean governance is one which is very close to our heart and where we're very proud implementing this. And we are also very happy to be here today because the ocean governance project has its origin here in the Parliament. The ocean governance goes back to a previous project for the Foreign Policy Partnership Instrument called Cooperation with the Northern and Southern Transatlantic Dimension Marine Protected Areas. And it was actually implemented in 2 phases from 2016 until 2019. And it was promoted by Francesco José Milán Mon, member from the European Parliament, and who also wrote a report back in 2013. And the project we have been implementing in the last 4 years is building on this one and actually is having its origin here. That's why we are also very honored to be here today to report back to the Parliament and to also have a chance to present the Ocean Governance Project. Puri will present obviously later a little bit more the project in details, but I would like to stress from my point as Managing Director that was really a very special project for us. We have been implementing this project together with BNS Europe and the Worldwide Fund for Nature, and we're able to make good progress in the last years. The technical assistance we provided is a very important tool to really deepen this transboundary cooperation and to have a coordinated approach and to really jointly tackle major challenges the world oceans, seas, and coastal areas are facing. And the TA was also a very good tool in order to connect the high policy level with on-the-ground action. So that really proved to be a good way in order to improve the management of the marine protected areas. And to achieve the post-2020 marine conservation targets, we are convinced that's important to boost further international cooperation and to build, as we also heard right now from various speakers already, to really build networks of marine protected area managers, to really build these networks and bring all the expertise together. And looking at the larger picture and also our ambition for the Blue Belt, our project helped to achieve more important milestones, but obviously much more needs to be done. And I now have the pleasure to hand over to Puri, who will give more insights about the project. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Madam Holter. So, as you suggest, I give the floor to Dr. Purificación Canals, President of the MEP, and the team leader and technical coordinator of the EU Ocean Governance Project. Purificación is also the most connected personality in the world, and you since a long time you connect people around the MPAs or in the MPAs. You are a very important piece of this Blue Belt Purificación. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And first of all, let me thank both of you as parliamentarians for allowing us to present the results of the Ocean Governance Project. This is the second event we have here in the Parliament, co-organized with the project and with MEP. And it's the second one that is targeting marine protected areas networks of managers. So this is why it's so relevant for us to be here. And we really appreciate your support. And as well, I want to thank all the people that accept to talk here as speakers, not speakers, or also providing feedback at the end, and especially the presence of the ambassador, because I think this really provides a very nice framework on the political context in which what we are proposing can be implemented. So thank you very much. I have a presentation. Yes, next slide, please. So the EU Ocean Governance Project, as Eva anticipated, is a project which is implemented by a consortium led by GOPA, and is a project that is implemented in the framework of the Foreign Policy Instrument Service. So that means that has a clear objective, which is not especially technical, but is more political. It's a project that aims to increase the European Union's role as a global actor in international ocean governance by fostering regional and international cooperation relevant to the protection and restoration of marine and coastal ecosystems. So this is easy to say, it's easy to put in a sentence, it's not too easy to translate into action at a global level. So initially the project had two key areas: the Atlantic as a continuity of the previous transatlantic MPA network project, and Southeast Asia. But we were beyond, as you will see by the results, we are operating in many other areas of the global ocean. So initially it was a 3 years project, but due to the pandemic, we request the Commission to enlarge and to allow us to have an extra year. And this was crucial to really achieve the results that we are presenting now. We are also very glad to have here our program manager, Elena Laxo, that is very supportive also of our work. So next slide, please. The project, just a summary, I'm going to just present because it's quite a complex project, but I think it's important to understand the value of this proposal of a blue belt. The project has 4 components. The first component is targeting restoration of marine and coastal ecosystems in Southeast Asia. The second component is the continuity of the previous transatlantic MPA network project, and is the main focus of the topic today, which has 3 different kinds of partnerships, one targeting marine mammals, the other targeting coastal resilience, and the third one, which is connecting networks of managers. There is a third component, very interesting, that also nourishes a lot this idea of the blue belt, that promotes exchanges between the Atlantic Basin and Southeast Asia. So this was a great example for us that this makes sense to connect people around the world. And the fourth component is a component that aims to promote transboundary cooperation in Southeast Asia. Next slide, please. So, but it will be very easy to just mention the components. The project has more value than the enumeration of the components. The project is intervening especially on a higher level and playing an important role in trying to ensure that the implementation of the European Union commitments that respond to the global agenda of the United Nations and related to ocean governance and ocean protection through MPAs are really happening in a very connected way between the high-level decisions and the ground action. So this is what the project is really doing. And it uses the marine protected areas as the entry point to show models for connecting all those dimensions. Next slide. So for instance, we are linking all, I say all those dimensions, but we are also doing this by promoting exchanges of best practices between managers. So that means that we increase the capacity to be effective in the management level. We pay a lot of attention to the transboundary cooperation. This is crucial when we talk about ocean conservation. It's impossible to do it without good cooperation. And we also develop models of governance and capacity building processes, including local and indigenous communities. When we talk about restoration in Southeast Asia, we didn't do this from a technical point of view. We did it with working with the locals and ensuring that they will take care of this once the project is finished by the end of the year. So this should remain. So this is a model of governance as well at the ground level. And then I think the most interesting is that we are enlarging the initial target areas, Atlantic, Southeast Asia, to become global. So this is what is more relevant in a summary. And next slide, please. So you can see here just a few examples of the level of detail of our restoration projects. 2 of them targeting coral reefs in Derawan Island in Indonesia and to Mustafa Park in Malaysia, and another targeting restoration of mangroves in Balabac in the South Philippines. All of those projects are done with the local people, in some cases local community, heterogeneous as normal, and in other cases, in the case of Balabac, with an indigenous community. And from here, we have launched something that was not expected by the project, that is creating permanent hub for training local communities on the restoration of mangroves. So, and this is now additionally funding by a private investor, which is Epson Singapore. So this is something that is a plus that will remain after the project. So next slide, please. Regarding transboundary cooperation, and this is also connected with what has been said by the DG Mare about the need to work on OECMs. So we don't limit MPAs to the classical concept of a national park, of a marine strict reserve. We include all the tools that allows humans to manage properly the marine space. And when we promote this transboundary cooperation in Southeast Asia, we did with key partners in the region, the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity, or next slide, the Coral Triangle Initiative. If you pass next slide, please. So we organized 2 workshops with those key partners to show models of protecting those MPAs, collaborating between countries, and especially showing the countries of all the ASEAN region and the Coral Triangle region that they can achieve the 30 by 30 if they are able to work with their communities. And by providing those examples, most of the people working at the ministries, that was the target group, the officials of the ministries that know well the challenges, but they know well the political environment. They are able to propose how the country may make progress. By supporting and building capacity with this group, we can really help to go faster to achieve this objective of the 30 by 30 without fear, and looking at an integrative approach, not just classical models. So I cannot go deeper on that, but just wanted that you know. Next slide. This is the next slide, and you should press 2 times. Press again, please. It responds to the question, why do we need to connect managers? This is a map I got from the ASEAN Center of Biodiversity, and it's how the particles move during the one part of the monsoon. The monsoon have 2 periods. So I'm not an Asian person, I'm lost on this, but one part of the year it moves as you saw. Next slide, please. And next, and you push again, and you see that now they move in the opposite side. This is the sea between Cambodia, Vietnam, and Malaysia. And this is a great example we could apply in the Mediterranean, in the Atlantic, in the Pacific, and all the global ocean has equivalent processes of moving particles, larvae, individuals of different species. And we cannot protect species in Cambodia if we don't protect them in Philippines, and vice versa. We are dependent. If we want to protect our marine resources, we need to work together. And to do this, we need to connect the managers. And we need to connect those people that in each country is responsible of taking care of those marine protected areas. Next slide, please. So the transatlantic project in the past identified 3 topics for exchanges. I already said marine mammal protection, coastal resilience. This was very technical, and also identified the need to connect the managers in this, responding to the previous question. So next slide. And we identify in the past a number of existing networks or projects connecting managers. Next slide. And we decide to start exploring what those managers could provide to the European objectives in the context of an European project. And we create this first twinning, this first partnership with 4 regional networks: CAMPAM in the Caribbean, MEDPAN in the Mediterranean, NAMPAM in North America, RAMPAO in West Africa. But you know, the policies are, the implementation of international policies are the responsibility of the governments, of the states. A regional institution without a good connection with the state levels, it doesn't work. So we wanted also to explore how we could better support this national action that allows to have a regional dimension. And we include 2 national agencies, one in France, the French Biodiversity Agency, the other is in Spain, Fundación Biodiversidad, that both of them are implemented European projects, life integrated projects addressed to Natura 2000 marine in both countries. From here, next slide, we designed a strategy and identified 4 areas in which will be positive to have the networks exchanging between them. Sharing information, knowledge, and tools, building the capacity of the networks and capacity of the managers. Also, the policy support or advocacy depends on, we prefer to talk about policy support because advocacy often is perceived by governments as something that you are pushing. And this is not the role of a network. And everybody is supporting, is not pushing. The government decides, but we help to implement. And obviously financing. In the past, we can only work on this policy support and being together at international events. Next slide, please. So probably the most relevant for the past period was to be being together at the UN First Ocean Governance in New York. So that's why we are also very interested in the next one, and we invite Ambassador Pardarbo. Next slide, please. From here, when we had the opportunity next phase with the Ocean Governance Project, we decided to continue and to enlarge this approach because we just explored for 2 years and it was not enough to implement. And we didn't want to remain just with those few networks because there are more experiences in other regions and it's very interesting. So we start contacting new ones and new institutions. Some of them are networks, others are, for instance, regional seas conventions that include regional networks. And we also include more national partners, more national agencies, because it's there where we can really identify what kind of activities can be relevant to be implemented in the future to build capacity in the country level, to build capacity at regional level, and to respond all together to the implementation of the international action. So you have here the list in the Caribbean and Northeast Atlantic, HELCOM, OSPAR, and sometimes the partners have been more active, sometimes less, because each one has its own dynamic. Red Parques in Latin America, the Patagonian Forum that you will hear later today. Red Gulf is a very interesting example of environmental diplomacy around marine protected areas because it allowed to connect the United States of America, Mexico, and Cuba. And they even survived during Trump period, which is challenging. And they use this as a space for promoting cooperation, even in difficult times for political reasons. So we have also CIMAR corridor, now in the Pacific, going from Galapagos to Coco Island and in Costa Rica and with Colombia and Panama. We have Wiompan in the Indian Ocean, a new one, and we have Miampan, a network in the Yellow Sea. So that's completely different context. And next slide, please. And this is the map today, which is bigger than the previous one, but there's still huge regions that we are not connecting, not necessarily because they don't have networks, but maybe because we didn't have the opportunity so far. But the most important, next slide, is that in this time, we were able to implement more actions of the 4 axes. We create learning exchanges between networks. We develop a model to assess the effectiveness of the networks. For instance, push again, please. You will see a little graphic that responds to the study we did, identifying the key areas to take care if you want to have an effective network. Now, you have no time to go in deep, but this is very useful to help the existing networks and the creation of new ones to really be effective on the ground. Obviously, we were more active the political support, and we also developed some new tools for financing. Next, push again, because probably the most interesting part for me is having been able to motivate the creation of new networks of managers in Southeast Asia, one of our target objectives in the project. And now we have the Coral Triangle Initiative and the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity and COPSI, that these 3 institutions, regional institutions, wants to promote regional networks of managers. So this, I think, is a very interesting result. Next slide. I will not enter into the detail. Those are some technical issues on sharing information, knowledge, and tools. For instance, taking advantage of some existing tools of MEP. Now we are translating to Spanish and Portuguese to make available on marine turtles for managers. We organize a training on management effectiveness in which they participate 21 managers from the Antarctica, also of America and Spain. This was in Spanish and was implemented by the Patagonian Forum. Next slide. We create learning exchanges for all the networks, but also sometimes bilateral to support African network, exchanging with MEPAN. This because mainly we are more French speakers in this exchange. So next one, you will see different moments of learning exchanges. For instance, this one you have now is a very interesting example as a result of the objectives of the ocean governance to connect Atlantic and Southeast Asia. We organized to learn and exchange, the first one virtual, the second one physical and hybrid in Kota Kinabalu. And this was what proved to us that it's very important to have a space for permanent technical exchange, connecting technical and political, between different parts of the world. So just if you pass the next slide, you will see different moments in which we have been acting at international events. So for instance, the One Ocean Summit organized by President Macron. Next slide, please. We have been very present in all the process of the COP15 for the CBD, because this is very important as a way for the European Union to support the implementation. Next slide. And here we identified also that we are very crucial for the good practical implementation of both the Global Biodiversity Framework and the BBNG new agreement. Next slide, please. Just to say that there's images, pass, please. Next one. And financing, in terms of financing, next one, please. We create an alliance with conservation trust funds from different regions of the world to work together with networks of managers, replicating a model of project that MEPAN has funded by the Global Environmental Facility, the GEF, for the Mediterranean with the MET Fund. So this is a model of cooperation to mobilize resources to the service of the management, and we want to replicate worldwide. And finally, next one, we have also been participating in the process that Ambassador Poivre d'Arvor launched this consultation. We bring proposals using the voice of MEPAN, but passing the proposal from all the different networks. So, and we have this challenge, although those are opportunities. And my last slide, next one, is the challenge is to develop a strategy. We are working now on this strategy. We are working and we continue your support to mobilize resources to allow the continuity and the sustainability of this global network of MPA managers. So we want to create this blue belt and really be sure that this international cooperation is a permanent tool for the ocean, is a permanent tool for people. So thank you very much.
Many thanks, Puri. I noticed two things. First of all, it seems that the end of the project is at the end of the year. So it's probably a first question that you will keep in your mind for the DG Marie or for the Commission. I don't know if you can have an answer. And the second one, you were speaking about a tool, but this. Listening to you, we understand that it is also a tool for the peace, for peace. And you probably succeeded more than a lot of diplomats. The diplomacy of the ocean should be the diplomacy that should help to preserve the peace. And I think since a long time that ocean should be a very good tool to preserve the peace. So thank you very much, Puri. So we will go probably further with Carole Martinez, the policy manager of MEDSPAN. Thank you very much to be here also as well. And the first thing, the only thing is we are running a little bit after the time. So thank you to be as short as you can. Thank you very much, Carole.
I will. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like first to concur and to add to the warm thank you expressed by Puri for giving us this opportunity to speak again about the importance of marine conservation, but more than this, actually the community of practice around this community of conservation with the network of marine protected areas. So if you allow me, I will give first more introductory words about MEPAN, because we talk about networks. So we will have a tangible example of a regional network of marine protected areas. And then I will spot the lights on few activities that has been already underlined by Puri. Next, please. So actually, MEPAN has been created by managers of marine protected areas in our beautiful Mediterranean Sea in 2028, and with a willingness actually to have really a dedicated community of practice, but as well to go beyond the national jurisdiction, to go beyond the political issues. So this echoes your idea of the ocean as first diplomat for the peace, actually, and to share knowledge and best practices. Next, please. You can see with the map of our network, actually how we can connect countries and people around ocean conservation. To date, MEPAN brings together 131 organizations in 21 countries, and this represents more than 190 marine protected areas. So you can sense here the importance of having a dedicated network, human network, knowledge network, around marine conservation at the regional level. Next, please. So our core activities are organized around three main pillars. As has been said, first, it's about developing capacities of marine protected areas managers, but as well stakeholders, since we work, for instance, with small-scale fishermen in order to bring them into our community of practice and to work with them, and to develop and to share a solution. The second pillar is related to the development and sharing of knowledge, again, to support the decision-making. This leads me to the third pillar that is dealt with the development of policies and the improvement of the existing framework around marine conservation. Next, please. So as you can understand, MEPAN definitely support policies at different level, the local, obviously, supporting MPA managers, but as well at the national level, working with agencies, dedicated offices for marine conservation, networks of marine protected areas at the national level, obviously at the regional level, at the Mediterranean level, working with other partners, with other NGOs, but as well a university, other regional organization. We work as well at the sub-regional level. Sometimes it's important to have this more focused sub-regional approach. For instance, in the Mediterranean region, the Adriatic Sea, that has a specific as well a challenge to be addressed. Then we work at the European level, since we are very happy to be part of some working groups organized and facilitated by the European Commission. We have joined this year the EU mission dedicated on restoring the ocean and the waters, and we just participate to the first meeting of the special group on the EU action plan. So the idea is to bring the voice, bring the knowledge of our MPA managers and stakeholders in order to support the decision-making and the action of the European institution. And then at the international level, since we want definitely to start to build this blue society, this blue belt, to work together with the different networks in order to voice louder their concern, their needs, but for sure to support a successful implementation of the international targets, the coming Montreal Biodiversity Target 3, but as well the SDG 14 and other relevant Sustainable Development Goals. Next, please. So talking about supporting policies and contributing to the decision making, as I said, we work for sure first, and this is our prime focus at the Mediterranean level, but as well beyond. And this, thanks to the Ocean Governance Project, we have been definitely able to scale up, to multiply our activities, and to reach out to other networks and new networks. It was very important for us, thanks to the Ocean Governance Project, for instance, to meet stakeholders, actors in Southeast Asia, to learn from them, to see how we could share our practice, our tools, our knowledge, and to learn from each other. Next, please. So to give an example, a more focused example, thanks to the Ocean Governance Project, we have been regional network able to connect with all these other regional networks and other national agencies. And this has really definitely helped us, again, to learn more from practices that are very relevant in our region. For instance, Puri mentioned the work done by the local communities is not so much a knowledge at the Mediterranean level, but is very relevant with the work done by local communities in the Mediterranean Sea. So when we are working, next please, you can click once and you will see a picture. When we are working, for instance, with Rampao, with the regional network in West Africa, we are exchanging about practices, how how MEPAN was built, was organized in order to support as well RAMPAO to strengthen its own organization. But as a tangible feedback and good lesson learned, we hear from them and we learn from them in terms of local management by local communities of MPAs. So that it's a win-win deal, actually, this exchange of experience and this cooperation. So thanks to all these twinning activities, we have been able to reach out to new networks, to learn more from other networks, and actually to get closer all together. In addition, thanks to these twinning activities, we have been able to contribute to other exchanges related to mobile species management and resilience, common topics that actually go across all the regional seas and are common topic for the ocean conservation. Next, please. Another important task and activities we have been, one more, please. Activities, and it was mentioned by Puri, the question of finance. Our dear Canadian friends are saying, you know, a conservation without money is just discussion. So we need to figure out how to fund actually this marine conservation. So we have been able, thanks to the Ocean Governance Project, to launch and to strengthen this global alliance around marine conservation, working with several conservation trust funds, hand in hand with other networks. And you can see here the objective of this alliance is to close the geographical gaps that are still existing, we can see on the map, for the networks and for the Conservation Trust Fund, is to keep on fostering, strengthening this cooperation between dedicated Conservation Trust Fund and marine MPA networks, and then to keep on building this blue belt, working on how we could further develop this training of trainers program, because the idea is to give the baton, to pass the baton to other managers and to other stakeholders. Next, please. Another very important part, and I'm mentioning, is all this policy work. And as a tangible example, and thanks again to the support of the Ocean Governance Project, we have been able to join our voices and to voice all together the need for a global network. This was done, for instance, at the last International Congress of Marine Protected Areas last February. And all the networks, we have been able to voice this need, both with a dedicated event, but more importantly, at a high-level segment. And to pursue this work of policy support, next please, with the other networks, and again, thanks to this very emulation dynamic of the Ocean Governance Project, MEPAN with other networks, we have been collectively contributing to this call organized by France and Costa Rica to prepare actually the coming third UN Ocean Conference. The results, the conclusion have been warmly welcome, but we need actually, as we say in French, to transformer l'essai. We need to make this big conference something tangible. As Mr. the Ambassador said, it has to be a game changer, and a tangible proof will be actually to launch at this next third UNOC, this Blue Society. So maybe a few words of conclusion. As you can understand, thanks to this Ocean Governance Project, MEPAN as existing, and maybe I think the most mature network of marine protected area, to reach out, to learn again, because it's a never-ending learning process, and to strengthen its collaboration with all other networks around the globe. I think that this kind of blue belt will be highly helpful to really embody the EU vision for the ocean governance at the global level, and to foster the important work of the European institution in terms of marine conservation, sustainable management of marine resource. And I agree with you, we do need other stakeholders. This is why this blue belt is definitely open. The MPA managers are welcoming all the needed support for all part, and we are already paving the way and walking the talk, working with small-scale fishermen. Having said that, I thank you very much, and stay at your disposal.
Merci beaucoup, Carole. Carole Martinez de MEPAN. We are going to jump from Mediterranean to Patagonia, or to jump or to sail, but not to fly. With our next speakers who will conclude this panel, Mr. Andrea Mikkelsen. No, it's probably a Spanish pronunciation that I should have. A regional coordinator of the Forum for the Conservation of the Patagonian Sea and Areas of Influence. So many thanks to be with us. Where you are? In which town are you?
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
In Buenos Aires. Okay, great. Thank you, Madam, to be with us. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the European Parliament and authorities to have us, and also to Prairie Canals who promote us to be here. So I will be deliver just a very short presentation that is connected to this session. We are the Forum for the Conservation of the Patagonian Sea and Areas of Influence. Is a collaborative regional marine conservation network, but a network of NGOs. We are made of 26 NGOs that work in this region, in the southern cone of South America, that is Argentina, Uruguay, southern Chile, and southern Brazil. We created the forum, this network of NGOs, in 2004. This network has almost 20 years. We also have a transboundary scope that has been repeatedly mentioned in this session, and we also aim to have a common vision on the opportunities and also the threats that our sea is suffering. Some of our NGOs are local, and some of them are international, such as BirdLife or Pew or WCS, WWF. So just to mention and what is the connection with this session of today. We created in 2015, 8 years ago, an initiative called the MPA Management School for the Southern Cone of South America. That initiative aims at has the goal to train the MPA managers to foster effective management of marine protected areas. We have also all the things that have been discussed during this session. We have also addressed, and I think that it's very important to tackle those things through training and sharing experiences, knowledge, and learnings. So with the leading leadership of WCS Chile, WWF Chile, Pew, and Fundación Vida Silvestre Argentina, and with the generous funding of different initiatives and the collaboration of also of Ocean Governance Project, we have carried out several trainings throughout these years. We have delivered 5 courses for MPA managers from Southern Cone, but also thanks to the support of Ocean Governance Project, we have reached Latin America and also different countries within the Atlantic Ocean. We have these courses are targeted to MPA managers, and that MPA managers keep connected through a community of practice that today has more than 60 managers from across the region. And also we have reached within this initiative 25 MPA managing institutions through that are here in the southern corner of South America, but also in other parts of Latin America, from 11 up to 11 countries. And the collaboration with the Ocean Governance Project, specifically the Twinning Partnership, has allowed us to expand the outreach and impact to other countries beyond the Southern Cone, because we are specifically focused on the Southern Cone, but we believe that the expansion is necessary to achieve really a good connection between the MPA managers and also a thorough experience exchange with different realities, with different institutional capacities and and situations that enrich the exchange and the training. We have been able to strengthen and diversify the community of practice, and we aim to go further and to continue to strengthen management effectiveness beyond the Southern Cone, because we believe and we know that these trainings and these capacity buildings and also the exchange of experiences and knowledge allow the managers to improve their day-to-day action. Also, to connect not only this has benefited the MPA managers, but also the forum network itself, as we connected with other networks, MPA networks from the Atlantic, from Southeast Asia, and others, and also to enrich our scope, our way of thinking the initiative, the trainings. A global network would be very useful to enhance and amplify these results, to also influence policy at an international level, and regarding MPA and the exchanges between MPA managers, we are already seeing the results. It's not only a practical result, but also the strengthening of the network really allows us to have a better impact our shops and the shops of the MPA managers as well. Now we are delivering a course that is ending this year, and we hope that this global network allows us and also this international network to have a better sense of this connection that has been discussed today. The ocean is one, the threats are similar, and we need to learn from each other in different toolkits and different ways of tackling these challenges that the ocean has and are increasing. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I will stop the presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Mikkelsen, for your presentation, and I'm very impressed by your presentation and all your pictures. There are a lot of people. you are speaking about connected MPAs, but you also connect people with this beautiful project. Thank you, Madam. And we are going to have our second panel, and I will give the floor to Ms. Ji-Yoon Lee, Director of Science, Society and Sustainable Futures Division at the Secretariat of the Convention on Biological Diversity, the CBD, from UNEP. And I'm very proud we are very happy. Thanks very much to be with us, Madame. And you probably in Montreal today. Where do you speak from? I give you the floor, and we will be very interesting to have your point of view of this beautiful project of the Blue Belt, and what do we need to create MPAs networks. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we hear you well, so
Okay.
you can take the floor.
It is my great pleasure to join the event that is being hosted by you. You are always organizing very important event for ocean governance, so it is my honor. And also my congratulations to the EU Ocean Governance Project, and in particular Puri, and also all the managers around the world with whom I had really inspiring experience in the previous meeting in September. So my thanks to all of you. So I will move quickly to save the time for the Madam Chair. Next, please. So today we heard from previous speakers the connection with this initiative, and also its very important contribution to the implementation of global biodiversity framework of CBD, and also future implementation of BBNJ agreement. So I will just highlight how important, also maybe how effectively we can help each other and support each other to make sure that this very important initiative will be sustained, and with the possible fundings, and also this wealth of knowledge, the network and the network of people can contribute effectively by connecting, more effectively connecting with the various partnership within CBD, and also all the activity related to the monitoring of the progress, and also resource mobilization, capacity building, and partnership. So I will more focus on that, not repeating what has been already said. Next, please. So you'd remember in terms of approaches for the implementation, and this is from the framework itself, you will see the approaches for implementation of global biodiversity framework are in fact in a very concrete manner represented by the approaches of this initiative. The transformation at local level in a very concrete on-ground changes, collaboration, cooperation, and synergies between different stakeholders among different cross-sector entities. And that's why this highlight the whole of government and whole of society approaches, because you need not just the Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Ocean, you would need all the participation of different ministries. As we have heard, this is really connecting ecology and economy and people, all different issues together, so that we can achieve these goals. So one point I want to really highlight is that the approaches that this initiative has taken, and in past years, even during the COVID time, connecting people on the ground is really representing the approaches that we want to see for the implementation of GBF. Next, please. Another important point is that when we talk about GBF, it's not only one target, it's 23 targets. And also I want to remind you that all the efforts that has been made by this global network of MPA managers are not only addressing just one target, target 3. It is in fact addressing, I have heard very concrete example that it has been addressing also target 2, and also it was building on the experience of working through integrated spatial management for target 1, and various aspects of capacity building, which is another target, addressing gender equality. So in fact, you will see that this initiative is addressing various targets and various goals, and also toward this common vision and mission. And also there are aspects of various elements for the consideration for implementation. For example, addressing the One Health approaches, or IPLC, addressing our IPLC concerns, human right-based approaches. There are many elements of the GBF that you can see as an example of on-ground and local implementations through this initiative. And that's why we see very important reason for this networking to be continued. Next, please. So again, this we see 23 targets. So you will see that some group of targets are addressing the threat. The other group is really the sustainable use aspect of biodiversity conservation, and also addressing the effective implementation with solutions and tools. Next, please. I want to highlight you to bring your attention, in case you haven't seen it yet. If you go to CBD website, you will see, because for public to read the target and understand the details, can you go back to the previous one, please? Yes, it's not very easy. So Secretary has provided some of this annotation, the explanation of the target elements, and also have all this list of tools and guidances that any stakeholders or any governments can use, because now all the governments are in the process of updating and revising national biodiversity strategies and action plan, and also setting national targets in the context of GBF global goals and target. So in fact, we issued a notification to help us to populate all these tools and guidances, not only produced by CBD, but also produced by other intergovernmental processes. So I invite all of you to populate this, and also especially in the marine areas, because there are often those marine stakeholders are not directly connected with CBD work, so sometimes they don't receive this information. So I'm just taking this opportunity to invite all of you to work together so that we can help parties better in their MBSAP process. Next, please. So here again, you can go to next. I wanted to highlight that the work that you have been doing here and the impact that you are creating here is not only contributing to Target 3, but also many other targets, especially Target 1 and Target 2. And also the dream that we have heard this morning, Blue Belt, is very beautiful. But I see more, I challenge you, it's more than just belt, it's a space, because ocean is a big space and it's a three-dimensional space. So we should not only limit our dream only to the 30%. I think the inspiration that you will give, your work will go over 30%, and it will inspire all the efforts for other targets as well as beyond 30%. So I challenge Madam Catherine to be the leader of this, really making it green and blue of all this whole planet. Next, please. So I want to just highlight that again, as I said, we have many tools and guidances that have been developed within the CBD, but now it is a time that we have to really put together and make a platform that all these knowledges and guidance and tools are being made available for the parties so that they can readily use it for their implementation, because 2030 is coming very soon. So next, please. And also making tools and guidance available is just the first step, because they need to learn better how to apply them and also how to modify them, adapt to their local context and national context. And that's why after Nagoya negotiation on Aichi target, CBD Secretariat created this Sustainable Ocean Initiative as a global platform for capacity building and partnership. In fact, we had our first meeting in Senegal for the regional workshop, capacity building workshop, and we are very happy that we'll go back to Senegal for Impact 6. So we are closely also coordinating with Impact 6 team so that we can really expand our efforts that has been built, and also, expand it among the stakeholders throughout since Aichi target. Next, please. And this Sustainable Ocean Initiative also created global dialogue, bringing all the regional sister organizations and regional fisheries bodies together. So now the question is how to link those regional level and global level partnership with the local level implementation. And in fact, there was a discussion in Spain in September meeting that this network of global MPA managers can really provide the gap of local implementation in very concrete manner. And we are discussing how to link this initiative with Sustainable Ocean Initiative to strengthen the local level implementation. Next, please. This was the slide actually I used in my previous event hosted by Madam Kathleen. And I want to highlight again, as also mentioned by previous speaker, CBD has been contributing in past 17 years to the BBNJ negotiation. And then we see also not only the CBD secretary, but all the parties and all the experience at the national level will contribute to strengthen the effective implementation of BBNJ. So the question, I remember one speaker also addressed that. I totally agree with that point, that we have to think carefully how this network of knowledge and people who has all this long-term experience in MPA can contribute to the future implementation of BBNJ, because whether it's ABNJ or within national jurisdiction, it will be still the same people who has the heart and also knowledge and expertise and long experience for the protection of the marine environment. Oh, next, please. So this is my just last slide. I hope I was successful in making my points very quickly. So how the global network of MPA managers can contribute to the work under CBD and also the implementation framework. I think it is providing very critical platform for the national implementation of GBF, in particular target 3, but also inspiring and also contributing to the implementation of many other targets, and with very concrete platform for the local implementation. That's how I see the value from the CBD perspective. And I'm sure many of parties of CBD to CBD will agree with me. And then this is a really important initiative in that perspective. And also then how the global partnership within CBD can facilitate the expansion or sustainable operation of global network of MPA managers. So we have to really come out of our own safety zone. And I think we have to really engage this group with various other groups, with financing group, with the business group, with the other IPLC group, with the gender group, and with so many other groups, so that we can really show the global visibility of this good initiative and help each other, global networking with other initiatives, so that they can have better access to the GBF fund and also other donor funding, and evolving this network with the CBD capacity building activities so that we can have a network platform for the capacity building. And we are hearing also now many suggestions for the technical and scientific cooperation, how we can link this initiative with this CBD's initiative and work for technical scientific cooperation. That's another question. So we have a lot of future, very ambitious goal and the vision, and then blue belt, blue space, or blue dream. So I really hope that we can continue this initiative and continue our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Lee. It was an honor for us to listen to you, and thank you very much. So see you next time. I will hope. And the leadership is not mine, it's the leadership of MEP and Purification Canal in that story. Our last speaker is, we come back to the Commission, European Commission, with Alice Belin, a policy officer in the Marine Environment and Clean Water Services unit at DG Environment. So with you, we see the leadership of Europe in that topic, and I think we need it. But you will take the floor. You will make the link between the Commission's action plan on protecting and restoring marine ecosystems for sustainable and resilient fisheries and the need to create connections between MPA managers. Alice, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting DG Environment to this event. I'm very honored to be among such distinguished speakers. I know that time is short, so I'll try to be quick. A lot of things have already been said anyway. Indeed, my intervention, my colleague spoke a lot about the EU's international dimension in ocean governance. I will look more into the EU actions to protect its own marine biodiversity and marine protected areas in EU seas, EU waters. So we know that the seas are affected by many human activities causing many different pressures. European seas are also under threat. And that's why we need to take even more tangible measures and action to protect and restore marine habitats, species and ecosystem functioning. One essential tool for this are marine protected areas, which are globally recognized as an effective tool to reverse this alarming trend in biodiversity. So if ecosystems are in a good condition, they deliver important ecosystem services such as food provision, coastal protection, recreation and tourism, and they also contribute to make the ocean and marine ecosystems more resilient in the face of the inevitable changes brought by climate change. So an ecologically coherent network of MPAs across Europe's seas is a very important component of Europe's strategy to restore its marine species, habitats, and ecosystems. Over the past 30 years, a number of EU policy instruments has been driving the creation and expansion of this essential MPA network. The EU Habitats and Birds directives are the basis for the EU network of protected areas, the Natura 2000 network, which covers more than 9% of EU seas, and an additional 3% are covered by protected areas, which are aimed at implementing the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. In addition, the EU Biodiversity Strategy for 2030, which is a key deliverable under the EU Green Deal, has increased the level of ambition, not only to widen the coverage of marine protected areas to at least 30% of EU seas, but also to ensure a minimum percentage of strict protection, 10%. The EU has also cooperated very closely with its regional partners, in particular the regional sea conventions, to expand the MPA network in EU and international waters. Over the past months, the EU was part of the process led by OSPAR, the Northeast Atlantic Commission, to broaden the conservation scope of the North Atlantic Current and Evelyn Sea Basin Marine Protected Area. It's a big name. It's often known as the NACES MPA. It's located in the high seas of the North Atlantic in international waters, and it's now the largest MPA in the Northeast Atlantic that protects the entirety of the marine ecosystem, from the seabed to the seabirds. But these commitments and actions by the EU are more ambitious than simply drawing lines on a map. These MPAs need to be effectively managed. They need to be ecologically representative and well connected. Effectively managed MPAs are valuable not just for marine conservation, but also for the prosperity of coastal communities. So that's why the EU's marine and nature policies focus not only on individual MPA designation, but also on their ecological coherence and their effective management, as well on the ecosystem-based management of human activities at sea. MPAs need to be part of the wider conservation strategy to reduce pressures affecting marine species and habitats. One instrument to achieve this is the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, which I mentioned previously. It requires to achieve good environmental status of European seas by reducing cumulative pressures, restoring species and habitats, and ensuring more sustainable use of marine resources. Actions across all sectors and policy areas must aim at the sustainable use and management of ecosystem and contribute to the restoration of biodiversity. This means working together with the fisheries, shipping, and other blue sectors, notably through ecosystem-based maritime spatial planning, to design and implement and enforce appropriate conservation measures. In 2023, you mentioned it, Mrs. Chabaud, the Commission published an action plan to protect and restore marine ecosystems for sustainable and resilient fisheries. This action plan brings forth concrete policy and governance measures to reconcile the EU's environmental objectives at sea with fisheries legislation and management practices. It has a particular focus on seabed protection inside marine protected areas. It also requires that all of this is done in a fair and just way for all, which is very important. Protection by itself is not merely sufficient. We need to upscale our efforts in restoring marine ecosystems. So that's why in 2022, the Commission adopted a proposal for a nature restoration law. As you very well know, it is currently being negotiated between the co-legislators. And it should set legally binding targets for the restoration of marine ecosystems, with a particular focus on carbon-rich integrated ecosystems. While these areas under restoration do not necessarily need to be marine protected areas, there are very clear synergies between protection measures such as MPAs and restoration activities. So by achieving the objective of its ambitious and comprehensive legal and policy framework for the protection of the marine environment, including through the establishment of effective MPA networks, the EU has an opportunity to lead by example and to show that we take very seriously our international commitments of halting marine biodiversity loss and restoring marine ecosystems. All these commitments need to come with improved governance and increased resources. This means not only financial resources, obviously financial resources are very important, but also expertise and know-how, which comes from environmental experts in marine conservation. While EU and global capacities are being scaled up to match these challenges, exchange of good practices between MPA managers at local, national, regional, and global scales is a key activity to ensure coordinated and common approach to the effective management of MPA networks across the global ocean. Through these networks, MPA managers can share tools, learn best practices, as we've learned today, not only on environmental issues, but also on the legal setup of MPAs, for instance, or how to manage MPAs effectively. So I focused my intervention on EU issues, but we know that the threats to the marine environment in different parts of the world are very similar, whether it be climate change or pollution, overfishing, etc. And while different biodiversity and socioeconomic contexts demand tailored approaches, these transnational exchanges of good practices can bring new perspectives and solutions. So connecting MPA networks is very important, and we recognize the very important work done by the Ocean Governance Project for the protection of our seas and ocean. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Belin. So you were our last speaker. We are not very far from the end of this event. We just have one question, but a very interesting one. In short, because it is a long question, what is the strategy to transit to strongly protected MPAs to truly allow some biodiversity and ecosystem recovery? Madame Cornelia Nowen asked this question, highlighting that some MPAs probably are paper MPAs. So who wants to answer this question? Verification canal.
Okay. Well, this is the question, not this one question. It's the question. Yeah, it's the question. When we look at when we do, for instance, the Mediterranean, every 4 years we do a report of the status of MPAs. So we have more MPAs every time we do their status, but not necessarily more well-managed MPAs. In fact, half of them have no management plan, no management team. This is exactly the same everywhere in the world. So that's what we learn by exchanging, and sometimes more or less. So what's the point? I think that's for me one of the entry points also for creating those networks is when you create a marine protected area and you manage it properly, you demonstrate in very few time the value of establishing a marine protected area. If you just create but you don't manage well, you only have the inconvenience, the limitations, but you don't have the benefits. So people just see that now they cannot go to do any activity that they used to do because it's forbidden, but they don't see the value, the positive. So I think it's very important to start supporting the authorities to manage the existing marine protected areas and to manage well. You cannot propose 30% if the current 10 or less, normally less person that is protected is not well managed because there's no credibility. So to do this, I think the main solution is to take advantage that those few that are well managed, to allow this knowledge to be shared with a larger community and to motivate the authorities in charge of those marine protected areas, or either create co-management models, which is also something that in most cases works very well with the community, to invest the minimal to start managing well. So this is a feedback. We need to reverse a negative feedback by a positive one that enhances the credibility and motivate more people to create more marine protected areas. Otherwise, we will never reach, because there's no point, 30% of paper parks, we don't need it. We need effective management. And we need to trigger what is the critical point. Not enough knowledge, not enough resources. So let's provide knowledge, let's provide resources and guidance and an open space to share. Because when we share, it's easy to do it well.
Merci beaucoup. Do we have questions in the room? Probably I have one question, but I don't know if, nobody? So, yeah, what are the next steps? we have a roadmap to 2025, finally, if we took this agenda as a goal. So what are the next steps? I don't know if it's a collective question for the Commission and for the stakeholders. Who wants to answer? You want to answer? Madame Melin, allez,
Sure.
lancez-vous.
Yes. So indeed, we've been following this project now for several years. It started already in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, or even before. It was building on
The
a
first initiative in 2016 until 2019, and this project we are now implementing started 4 years ago.
4 years
December
ago.
it comes to now.
And so we are now exploring a number of different options for the future of the project. That's really all I can say at this point, to be honest with you. I do not have an answer on this for you. It has to do with how funding in the EU is allocated between different services, but we work closely with different services, our colleagues in DG Mare, also colleagues in the EAS with the FPI instrument and in INTPA to try to find solutions for the continuation of the project, but this is an ongoing process at the moment.
Oui, Puri.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say something. I hope not to be inconvenient for Mr. Bijoux, but we are also very thankful to him because we know that he submitted a project from the EU Parliament to ask the Commission, normally is the ones that fund the project proposed by the Parliament, to give continuity to this initiative. So we really hope that this will have progress. Anyway, what I would like to say is that I think it's very important that Europe continues to provide leadership on this. So it's not difficult to find money in certain regions. So we can operate focusing in on one region and having resources from the region. So this is something that probably we will do to really respond to this local level that Mrs. Ji-Hun Lee was saying. So if we work in Latin America, there are resources for Latin America, there are resources for Asia, but we need a minimum space and minimum resources and plan for coordination worldwide. Well, as a European citizen, I would really like to be sure that this continues to be something promoted from Europe. I think that the project responds very well to the aim of Europe to establish cooperation with Europe, overpass difficulties in the past in terms of war by creating cooperation and strong linkages. And I think this is the spirit of Europe. And it doesn't mean that the other people can contribute. So next week I'm going to be, tomorrow I'm traveling to Nassau for a meeting for the Caribbean, and from then to Washington to have meetings with the GEF. So we will move everywhere. But still, I think there's something as important as money, which is the spirit that promotes this cooperation. And this was born in Europe, and it will be good that Europe continues to provide, because in fact, nobody is guiding anybody. So this is a space in which all the partners have equal value, but someone needs to provide the platform. So I asked the European Parliament to push for this and to guarantee that there's a minimum European support to go ahead. Thank you.
Beautiful. What a leadership. Thank you very much for this answer. At the end of our event, I think I need to conclude. After your words, I think, of course, thank you very much, Stéphane, because we know, both of us, that the European Parliament has a very strong work to do in partnership with the Commission, of course, and with the Council. I think I like very much this Team Europe, and we don't enough use this team spirit inside our institutions, European institutions. So I just want to mention a few words that I've heard during this event. Cooperation. Stéphane, you began with cooperation, connect people. Finally, it's more, as Madame Lee said, she said connecting people is exactly what we want to implement in the GBF, the Global Biodiversity Framework. So I think when we create MPAs, we protect marine protected areas, but also we help, we support communities. we don't speak. Madame Lee was speaking about Senegal. I've been in Joal Fadiouth last few months. It was the second time I went there in the community marine areas, l'aire marine communautaire de Joal Fadiouth. Very interesting because people are living here and they protect these beautiful mangroves that is one of the most important blue carbon ecosystems. But people are also living in these mangroves, and I don't know if those people are connected with. Yeah, they are partners. Great, great. You support them. Open your
I
microphone.
didn't mention, but it was my slide, but there was too many things. So thanks to the partnership with the networks, we were really providing a lot of support to the candidacy of Senegal, which is an African candidacy, to host Impact 6, the next International Marine Protected Areas Congress. The last one was in Vancouver in February, so the next one in 2027 is going to take place in Dakar. And we work together with the African delegates to really be sure that this will happen in Africa. And we really expect that this will be the Congress of the networks of managers of marine protected areas.
Great. Great. You know that in 2 weeks we will have in Tanger a summit on the blue economy. And I'm among the strategic committee for the blue economy between Europe and Africa. And I had a proposal to imagine MPAs to address BBNJ. We should propose collectively with the African partners and European partners to design MPAs to address BBNJ. So a lot of, I think this event, we have to have a follow-up of this event. I think probably before the end of our mandate, because in 6 months it will be the end. I hope, Stéphane, you will organize a follow-up of these events. A last word to say that the Blue Belt already exists. I liked very much your maps showing all the MPAs, but we need to show not only words, places, but also you understand as this global current around the world. And because we have just one ocean on this planet, we are all connected around the ocean and we need to protect it together. And I will conclude with this idea that the ocean is a global common, a global common of humanity, and we all have a duty on it. I would like to thank very much our team, Stéphane, your team, and Lola from Perrine from your team, and Lola from mine, and also the Intergroup, Ilias and Regine. Thank you very much for, and thank you, MEP as well. Thank you to all people. I don't know how many people we had online. Around 40. So many thanks to all our stakeholders and to Madame Lee and to Madame Mickelson as well. Many thanks to all of you. Bon vent. Merci encore, Madame.